really best 140 is here. So what happened? I'm here. Who won fight with me? Who?
Welcome to BodyWork. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to BodyWorkBoxing. Man, the boogeyman suffers his second defeat at the hands of Liam Paro. I'm talking about El Orgullo de Maternillo. The pride of motherhood, Subriel Matias, the Puerto Rican IBF champ, suffered a defeat, a unanimous decision victory by Liam Paro. Eddie Hearn says it wasn't even close. And it's a lot of outrage online, or a lot of people I've seen, saying things about the fight and expressing their outrage, but I'm kind of confused as to what we were talking about. This is a perfect case of we had to go elementary, the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise and the hare, with the hare was just thinking that, because coming into and pre, I thought it was just, personalities, showing and coming into and taking ownership of being promoting and talking and doing this and that, and a lot of things about Regis beforehand. I just thought it was just, along on par with the course. But, in the build up, going to the ring walk and a lot of things, it was just a little what we call over here extra. I think a lot of the things he was doing was extra, and we was waiting because we know that the breaking point for most opponents is around the third round. After that, they start tapering off, and it was more of a nonchalantness, especially in the first 2-3 rounds. It was almost like Subriel wasn't really trying to do anything. He was trying to let the guy punch himself out. We thought that since it was a clear difference in size between the two men, thought that, man, it might even be worse for Liam Paro. But I have to take my hat off and salute Liam Paro. What he did was he started off and he worked. And he never stopped working. He never got off his game plan. When people say he had to be perfect, or he couldn't give up, or he had to have a gas tank, everything that he needed to be and needed to do, he actually showed up and showed out. He didn't get a knockout, but he worked. Every time Subriel Matias came forward, he slammed the front door. Every time he tried to go around the side, he slammed the side door. He outworked Subriel. And it was almost like Subriel Matias thought that at some point in time, he was going to be able to push a button and do what he always do, where he just give that one shot. After all of that work, it's finally that one straw that breaks the camel's back, where his opponent starts to get stunned or dazed, and then he just capitalized on it. And that time never really came. There were moments where he rocked, and there was time when the bell rung and it looked like Liam Paro was a little woozy getting back to the corner, but his corner always gave him good counsel. His corner always said, hey, look, keep it up, doing this. Then I heard at one point in time, it was like 6 minutes left. And as it went on, a lot of the commentators were trying to make it seem like the fight was a lot closer than what it was. When I was watching that fight, I stopped to watch this other one, but I went back in the morning, right in the morning, and fully watched it, where I was only solely watching that and not two fights at the same time. And really, what I saw was the referee was playing some games. He took the point. A lot of the things that Subriel said he was nervous about in that fight, as far as it not going to the scorecards and all that. I mean, it looked like the ref, not sure what kind of funny business that was, but it wound up panning itself out. And long story short, Liam Paro outworked Subriel Matias. I think Subriel Matias went in there and he really truly underestimated Liam Paro. I think that's what it was. I think sometimes the pressure of being in your backyard, having to please fans, having a show, being a showman when you're normally not used to doing that. You used to warming up, staying focused on your target, coming in and getting the mission accomplished. And I think maybe the lights, maybe all of that, you know, everything, the hoopla around it may have affected Subriel in a way where he might have expended too much energy even before the fight. It looked like Liam Paro had a better gas tank than Subriel Matias. I've never really seen Subriel Matias gas like that. He was breathing hard. You know, Liam Paro did do some rabbit punching occasionally. You know, might have, you know, put some cobwebs upstairs in the later rounds. But when they were actually calling the fight and as the fight went along, I'm like, I don't know what fight they're watching because I'm not watching the same fight. I didn't have it close. This is one of the times where I actually agreed with Eddie Hearn on the scoring of that fight. And for me, being a fan of Subriel Matias said, hey, he was worried about, you know, the fight going to the judges. But most of Subriel Matias fans, like myself, didn't really care because Subriel Matias is not one to really go to leave it in the judges' hands. That's how we know something was off. We heard every time they panned to the corner and Panda was talking, I mean, some of it was false confidence. Some of it was just, you know, not keeping it 100. I'm going to be honest. So some of them rounds, you know, Panda was actually telling them, hey, yeah, you did this. And it's like, I don't know what they're watching. But it's almost like for every one, Liam Paro was given 3 and 4. And there was a couple rounds where I said, okay, Subriel clearly won that, you know, because he was more active. He clearly had a more effect on his opponent than Liam Paro. But Liam Paro straight up outworked him. I think it was probably like 3-1. And I got to do some numbers crunching. I got to crunch the numbers and all that. But I really wanted to say, look, one thing I don't really agree with is when you suffer a loss and you don't stay to interview or you don't stay to speak, or you got to be just as loud on the way out, a la Earl Spence when he suffered his defeat. And that was a beatdown kind of defeat. This was just a decision loss. You got to stay and greet your fans, so I didn't really care for that part about it. But I know Subriel Matias is going to use this. Hopefully he's going to use this. I'm wondering, are they going to fight again? You know, I don't know what the circumstances around this fight. Did he protect himself and having it to where he can fight again? Sometimes the rule says there isn't one. You got to investigate that. That's something I got to do homework about. But I kind of agree with Eddie, man. The fight wasn't close. You can tell by the crowd. You can tell by the crowd. Now the crowd was electric whenever Subriel Matias did anything. But when you go back and listen, how many times was the crowd electric? So even if your eyes are saying this and you're a favorite and you're this, you gotta listen to what how the crowd will respond. And the crowd will respond if Matias hit Liam Paro on the arm, they would explore. They would get, especially a couple times when he got in this hard, you know, the body shot that he did, and you know, a couple of that one left that he got in that was real, like it looked like it was gonna be the beginning and end at that point in time. Crowd was electric. You go back and listen and you watch as you're not just listening to the people commentating. When you listen to that crowd, Liam Paro was actually winning. I think Sergio Mora was the only one that was keeping 100 about what we were really seeing, and commentators were really acting like the fight was closer than what it really is. It's kind of tough because a lot of people were looking at Subriel Matias like the boogeyman. People like Mickey Bay was saying, look, man, this guy's been doing this thing out here in Vegas and sparring. Liam Paro can fight. And I don't think it was really much of the skill deficit and this and that. It was just that fact that I think Subriel Matias took this hometown thing and having all this spotlight on him, and he kind of got a little carried away with it. You know, I'm not sure if that, I don't know if it'll happen the same way again. I'm not sure. I know that he got off to a way later start than he normally do, and he really got outworked was the bottom line. It was skill involved because Liam Paro kept turning him. But it was tough. It was tough to watch. It was tough to see. I kind of felt, but he was a good sport and actually shaking hands and going over and letting the corners and all that know. I don't know if he had obligations, if he had to get out of there and go do something. I'm not sure. I would have loved to hear the final thoughts right there in the ring after the fight. But what do you think about it? Were you shocked? Were you surprised? We knew we were in for an upset, and not only did we get one upset, but the two perceivable boogeymen in the 140 division, aka what I call the row, we also had another upset. I'll save that for another video. you know, speaking of Gary Antoine Russell and Alberto Puello, but Liam Paro gets his hand raised in a very valiant effort, perhaps a clinic of how to address and relieve a boogeyman of a strap. I can't do nothing but salute him. Not only did he step up to the plate, but he outworked. You know, he maintained his composure. His gas tank held. You know, he was defensive when he needed to. He used his clinch. He really did what he needed to do. Going in a hostile environment, going into somebody's backyard and doing that. You can't do anything but respect what Liam Paro does. He is and the new IBF champion. And the 140 division got to be recalibrated all over again, because Alberto Puello is now the interim champion for the WBC. Waiting on this whole Devin Haney, Sandor Martin situation to pan out, to have full supremacy with the WBC. Anyways, I would love to get your thoughts, love to get your comments. You know what I'm saying? I want to say, Subriel, hold your head up, go back to the lab. You know, some of those things you were doing before, some of the head movement and the things that you were talking about, and, you know, and just step on the gas. You know, I'm sure this is a lesson learned. Subriel is a very intelligent person. He's very passionate, and I know until he gets his get back and he gets back in the ring, he's going to, you know, push himself, forge himself under pressure and go through the fire to get back to where he need to be. I would love for you to hit my comment section. You know, hit my Cash App. You know, you can hit my Super Chat. You can update your notifications. You can just express yourself and let me know, am I far off? Am I on point? You know, how do you feel about this? Where do Subriel go from here? Anyways, thanks for tuning in here at BodyWorkBoxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.